guys, Avery here, and today I'm going to be sharing with you all of the books I have read so far in the year of 2019. So, since I just recently created my channel, I thought I would make this video to kind of share with you guys what I've been reading recently. That way we can kind of catch ourselves up, and also just because I have a lot of books that I want to talk about and haven't been able to. So, we're going to do that today. Also, let's ignore my hair. It is thunderstorming outside. And I got drenched walking from my car into my house, which isn't very far, but it was enough for me to get very wet. So we're going to ignore my hair because I couldn't take a shower because it's thunderstorming and I'm not getting in the shower when it's lightning outside. It's a bad idea. But yeah, so without further ado, let's jump right in because I got a lot of books to talk about. The first book I have to share with you guys is none other than Clea and Darkness by Clea. So I read this on public transportation while backpacking in Europe, and I listened to it on audiobook, and I was all up in my feels. I was really trying hard not to cry on several occasions on a train full of people. It was really a struggle, but I love this book. This book is the third in the Dark Artifices trilogy, and it follows Emma Carstairs and Julian Blackthorne 5 years after the events of the Mortal Instruments. So, Emma and Julian are parabatai, and they have been since they were kids, and this book follows them as they try and figure out who killed Emma's parents, as well as exploring some of the demonic activity that has been going on in Los Angeles during this time. It gets very crazy very quickly, as Claire's books do, and this is the third and last in this trilogy, and it did not disappoint. Granted, it's not my favorite in the trilogy. That would have to be Lord of Shadows, but I still really enjoyed it. I was a little bit confused at the end. I wanted some more explanation on certain things that happened, but overall, I really enjoyed this, and I cannot wait for the Wicked Powers to come out. I need that. And also the Last Hours. Both of those I'm real excited for. Also, I'm going to be putting what star rating I gave them into the description down below because I can't remember them off the top of my head, I'm not gonna lie. The next book I have to share with you guys is Escaping from Houdini by Carrie Maniscalco. Now, this book is also the third in a series, and that series is the Stalk and Jack the Ripper series by Carrie Maniscalco. How many times can I say series in a sentence? A lot, apparently, but without spoiling any of the books, this book follows Audrey Rose Wadsworth and Thomas Cresswell as they try and figure out who is committing these murders aboard the Etruria, which is headed for America. Now, Stalking Jack the Ripper takes place in London, Hunting Prince Dracula takes place in Romania, and this takes place on a ship going to America. But it's all amazing. I love it. Audrey Rose Wadsworth and Thomas Cresswell form this kind of like Sherlock and Watson duo, and it's wonderful. I love it. I love these books. It balances romance and like gore / murder really, really well. But essentially these books follow Audrey Rose, who is not interested in what girls should be interested in 1888 London society. They're supposed to do like tea parties and, you know, have babies and get married and things like that, and she's like, no, I want to be a forensic scientist and cut up in dead bodies and figure out what happened to them. So she's not very, with the time, she's very forward thinking, and I love her. She's a great character. I love these books. I cannot wait for Capturing the Devil to come out in September. I cannot wait. Cannot. But yeah, if you haven't read this series yet, I highly suggest it. It's one of my favorites of all time. And I don't want it to end, but also I want the next book like now. I cannot. The next book I have to share with you guys is Pride by Ibiza Boy. This book follows Zuri and a boy named Devious as they kind of form an unlikely friendship after Devious moves in across the street from Zuri. And it's very obvious very quickly that they come from two different worlds, but it follows them as they try and get along or try and see things from each other's point of view. Granted, it takes a while and they're not very into it at the beginning. But I like this book. The main character did get on my nerves just a little bit, but overall I really liked it, and I like the fact that she did poetry, and you get to see that a lot in this book. Like, here's an example. That was a really cool aspect to me, and I really enjoyed that. But overall, I really liked it, and this will be a good, quick, interesting read. The next book I have to share with you guys is one that you are all going to tell me, why did I not read it sooner? And I'm asking myself the same question. But that book is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. So, this book, guys, this book follows Jude as she and her sister are kidnapped into fairy when they are children and are raised in a land that doesn't think much of humans. But all Jude wants is to be a knight in this fairy court, but like I said, humans aren't very accepted in this world. The fairies are very much in power, and they do not like the humans at all. Enter Carden, who is the cruel prince. They do not get along at all. At all. But you know what? I really like Carden's character. I like Jude's character. There's a lot of craziness that happens in this book, but I really enjoyed it. I liked the court politics we got to see in this. I have no idea how she got out of her room. Say hi, Nala. She's purring so much. Can you hear it? Alright. Bye, Nala. Say bye, Nala. I think I was talking about The Cruel Prince. I really liked it. I liked the court politics. I liked the characters. There's a lot of crazy things that happen in this book, but I really enjoyed it. If you haven't read this yet, please go read it. It was great, and I really liked it. The next book I have on this list is Arch Enemies by Marissa Meyer. Now, this book is the sequel to Renegade. This book follows a girl named Nova who infiltrates the Renegade Society in order to try and bring it down from within. And there she meets this boy named Adrian, and despite the fact that she doesn't want to befriend any of the Renegades, they kind of have a connection, or develop a connection. And the great things about this book is that it kind of toes the line between good and evil. It kind of shows you that there's a lot of gray area in between the two. So I really liked that. I really liked this book. This is not my favorite. I thought that there was going to be this big reveal that happened in it, and it didn't. So that means it's going to be in the third one, which means that there's a lot less time for it to get resolved. And it's making me nervous. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I really did like this. I like the superhero aspect of it a lot, coming from someone who loves Marvel and also watches TV shows like The Flash. So I did really enjoy this. I just wish something had happened that didn't. But it's definitely going to happen in the next book because there's no way that it can't. But it's making me a little bit nervous. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, also one of the things I really like about this book is that you don't really know who people are. And the characters in this don't exactly know who everyone is because everybody has an alter ego. Hence the superhero thing. Like your, I guess, public person is different than your superhero person. And so there's a lot of deceit going on. But it's wonderful. I highly recommend the series. The audiobooks for these are amazing. So I highly suggest going the audiobook route for these. But I'm excited for Supernova to come out in November. The next book I have to share with you guys is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. This book follows a girl named Stevie as she attends this school called Ellingham Academy in the mountains of Vermont. Now, back in the 1930s, there was a whole kidnapping murder case that never got solved, and then in present day, Stevie, who has been accepted to this school and is studying true crime, wants to be the person to finally solve the case years later. It bounces between 1930s and present day as well, and I freaking love this book. It was amazing, and I liked the school because the school, there's a lot of different people studying different things. It's almost like college, but for high schoolers, because every student there studies something different. Like I mentioned before, Stevie is interested in true crime, and there's an engineer, there's a writer, there's a video game designer, and it's just really interesting. I really like the world. It's very immersive, and I freaking love this book. Loved it. If you haven't read it, go read it, because I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did, but I'm glad I picked it up. It ended a reading slump, if that tells you anything. I love this book. The next book I have to share with you guys is Daughter of the Siren Queen by Trisha Levenseller. This book is the sequel to Daughter of the Pirate King, and it follows a girl named Alosa, who is the daughter of the Pirate King. and she is trying to find these pieces of a map that leads to grand treasure. And this book is marketed as a female Jack Sparrow, and it's wonderful. I really enjoyed it. It's very fast paced, and there's a lot of action in it, as well as a steamy romance that I really liked. And yeah, it's very interesting. I really liked it. And also the entire pirate crew that Alosa captains is all female, which is very interesting, and I loved it. The next book I have to share with you guys is Carboy by Stephanie Garber. I listened to this on audio, which I loved, and this book follows a girl named Scarlett as she is trying to find her sister, who gets kind of swept up in the Carnival game. Carnival is this thing that happens once a year or once every several years, and the goal is to find all these clues that lead you to the end result. You're trying to figure out this sort of riddle, and it's very like circusy and magical, and it's wonderful. I really enjoyed them. You also really don't know who you can trust and who you can't trust, because everybody is not who they say they are, because it's a game and everybody kind of has like these different ulterior motives and all kinds of craziness. It's wonderful. It's absolutely insane, and I really love this. So if you haven't read Carboy yet, which most of you probably have because I'm late to the Carnival party, but if you haven't, go read it. It's wonderful. I really liked it. It's full of magic and mystery. What could be better? The next book I have to share with you guys is Sea Witch by Sarah Henning. Now, this book is the Ursula origin story, and it says down here, before she took the mermaid's voice, she gave up her own heart. I was all for this because I love The Little Mermaid. I love Disney in general, as you can tell by my Disney dude sweatshirt, but this book fell a little bit flat for me, and I really wanted to like it. It wasn't for me. I thought that the things that happened at the end were a little too rushed, and they didn't exactly make a whole lot of sense. I didn't feel like they were properly like introduced. Like, I didn't feel, you know how foreshadowing, I didn't feel like there was enough context given to make these things make sense for me. I know a lot of people that I know several people that really like this book, but I just didn't. It fell really flat for me, and I really wanted to like it because I love Ursula. I love The Little Mermaid. I just didn't love it, and I'm really sad about it. The next book I have to share with you guys is The Vanishing Star by Maureen Johnson. This is the sequel to Truly Devious, which I mentioned earlier. I like this book. I liked it slightly less than Truly Devious, but not by much. But I'm not going to explain this because spoilers, but yes, please read Truly Devious and then read this and tell me how you feel. I kind of saw the reveal coming, but the very, very end, like the last 2 pages, I did not see coming. So, I mean, the next book I have to share with you guys is Always Never Yours by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca. This book was awesome. It follows a girl named Megan as she is cast as the lead in her school's production of Romeo and Juliet, and she is normally the one who directs scenes, and she doesn't feel like she can relate to Juliet at all. But she meets this boy named Owen, who is an aspiring playwright, and he tries to convince her that they have more in common than she might originally think. I really like this book. I liked the fact that you get these little Shakespeare excerpts from Romeo and Juliet at the beginning of the chapters. I really like the characters. Owen was so adorable. I love him. And yeah, if you want a cute summer contemporary, I highly suggest this one. And I'm really excited to read the book they just came out with, if I'm being honest. I want to read that like now. But it was also really funny, and I really liked the main character and how she was a little bit different than the typical YA character. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. The next few books I read on ebook from the library, and there's one book that I actually physically checked out from the library. But we're going to go through those before I get to the last few books on this list. The first being A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. That book was so popular several years ago in the booktube community, but I just now got around to it. And oh my gosh, I cried. Like, I physically cried. It was such an emotional read, and it was adorable, and it was illustrated. I really liked it. It follows a boy who meets this monster, and the monster is trying to help him cope with some of the things that are happening in his life. It was amazing. I cried. It was all up in my feels, and I really enjoyed it. It was a very quick read, but if you haven't read it, I highly suggest it. It was amazing. The next book that I read was Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. This book was the first delve into Christina Lauren. I've never read a book by them before then. This book follows Josh and Hazel, who are going on double dates together, really terrible double dates together. I love the characters. They were so adorable. And I like the fact that the conflict the two characters came across were ones that made sense and weren't stupid ones that were blown way out of proportion because the characters don't talk to each other. Yeah, I really like Josh and Hazel. It's my favorite Christina Lauren book that I've read so far. Which brings me to the next book I read, which was Roomies by Christina Lauren. This book follows a girl named Holland and a boy named Calvin, who performs in the subway. He's Irish, and Holland works for her uncle in a Broadway type of music production. Do you want to tell everyone that you're trying to play too rough with the cat? Don't look at the cat. Oh. Guys, if you didn't know, my dog's a bird, not a dog. Say hello, Lilo. Right, I was talking about Roomies. Like I mentioned, Holland works at the theater where her uncle conducts the music for this production. It's kind of like a Broadway-esque type thing, and I really love that aspect of this book. I love musicals. I love Broadway, despite the fact that I haven't ever seen a Broadway show. But the soundtracks are amazing. I've heard great things, and one day I will see one. It just hasn't come yet. But I liked this book. I like Josh and Hazel a little bit better, but it follows these two characters who have to get married because in order for Calvin to perform in this musical, as since one of the people left and has kind of left the production high and dry, he can't perform unless he has a working green card, because he is not a legal citizen of the United States because he's originally from Ireland and hasn't got a citizenship. So they get married. Because what could go wrong there, right? The next book I read was called Bear to You by Sylvia Day. This is an adult romance. I cannot stress this enough. It's an adult romance. Like on the very far side. It's not like Christina Lauren. It's very much adult. Think 50 Shades of Grey. It's more along those lines. So if you are young and like below the age of like 17, do not read it. Actually, I would say 18. 17, 18. Use your discretion. If you're like 13, don't read it, please. Please, please, please. But it's about a girl who moves to New York and starts a job at this big company and meets this CEO billionaire. What could go wrong, right? But I didn't really like it. It's addicting. It is an addicting read. However, I have a lot of issues with it, and despite the fact that I read the first one and didn't really enjoy it, I did read the second one, and I'm not continuing on after that because there's something that happens that they just gloss over and don't ever address again. Like, they might address it in the next book, but I have a feeling that it's not in a way that it should be addressed, because something that happens like that, there is no good explanation for doing what he did. None. None whatsoever. So I really had some issues with both of them. And while they are addicting fast reads, I have problems. I don't, no. So I can't say I really liked them, but I tried. And the last book I read on ebook is My Favorite Half Night Stand by Christina Lauren again. This is probably my least favorite of Christina Lauren's books. I just found the two main characters infuriating. Like, I like them as people, but why can they not talk to each other about their problems and their feelings? Like, I get the main character has her reasons, but they're best friends. They've known each other for several years. It's not like they're complete strangers who met like 2 days ago. I don't understand why people and contemporaries can't talk to each other in like a healthy way. Why would you ignore someone if you're feeling some type of way or you have an issue? Like, just talk about it. It's really not that hard. But yeah, I still did like it. I liked the aspect of this friend group. I liked all the friends. I liked the characters as people. I just had a couple issues with the communication part. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I like Christine and Lauren. I'm excited to read more of their books. The next book I have to share with you is Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is a sequel to Carboy, and things are getting crazy in this book. And I haven't read finale yet, but I really want to. But I'm not going to talk too much about this because I did explain Carboy already. But magical game. Lots of happening. You don't know who people really are. You don't know their true intention. You don't know who's there to help or to harm you. And it's just a crazy ride. And I really, really liked it. I can't wait to read finale. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But yeah, really liked it. And the last book I have to share with you guys is Icy London, Icy France by Sarah Malinowski. The book follows two friends who are spending a month traveling through Europe together. And I really like this book. I love the characters, and it just took me back to the trip I took at the beginning of this year, and I loved it. And I like the fact that the little chapter headings are the places that they are visiting. Like, that's how the book is split up into chapters, and I really loved it. I liked all the places they went. I went to most of them, and yeah. Also, they run into ex-boyfriends and a potential new boyfriend, and it's a lot of craziness. I'm sorry it's shaking. The dog is running right by the camera, and it is not. Lilo, stop. Just lay down. Stop trying to chase Nala. But yeah, I really like this book. If you haven't read this and you want like a travel book, I highly recommend this one. It's really great. And that is all I had to share with you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the third time I filmed it, so we're going to go with what I ended up saying. It's probably crap, but I'll get better at it as I go. I tried my hardest, guys. But yeah, let me know some of your favorite books that you've read so far this year, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!